Hello everyone, welcome to Where We Trees podcast. I am Fatima, the host of this show. Trees are one of my favorite beings in nature and I enjoy learning about them. There are not many podcasts that talk about trees, so I started this show to spread awareness about some common Indian trees. Every week, I share my stories related to the tree of the week, describe it to you in detail, and then help you with keys to identify it in the wild. So come along with me, let's explore the beautiful world of trees. If you're a gardener, then perhaps you have heard of neem oil and neem cakes. Well, these and other neem products have made headlines for their usefulness only in recent decades. Indians have used neem trees for various purposes and revered them for thousands of years. Now that science has brought this tree to the limelight, it's popular all over the world. So, neem is our tree of the week. But before I go any further, it's time for a couple of tree stories. If there's a tree that I remember from my earliest childhood, then it's a neem tree. I was around 3 or 4 years old, and this memory is hazy. Either the morning was foggy and cold, or my memory makes it so. I'm not sure. There was a brick and cement bench just under the tree. I remember sitting on the bench with my dad early in the morning, under school boughs. My dad usually used to have breakfast under it, and on some days I used to accompany him. It was one such day. Such a simple memory. I don't even remember the details. Yet I suppose it is one of my core memories. A few years later, we moved to a new place. The settlement of Central Coalfields Limited was carved out of forested land. As such, numerous trees were dotting the residential campus. Among the native trees and the exotic planted ones, there was a mighty neem just beside our apartment, to which one of our windows opened. We had no view outside of that window because the tree covered it completely, but we were not bothered about it. My mom and I loved watching the birds that visited or had built their nests in the tree. Barbets, sparrows, bulbul, miners, robins, tailor birds, one or the other was always there. That neem was a portal to the natural world for me, and I spent many idle hours gazing at it and the wildlife that frequented it. Its sylvan presence was a salve to a sore heart full of childhood miseries. But one day it was chopped down. Some folks in the apartment thought that it was attracting snakes. Maybe because of the birds' nests. Whether it was a theory or somebody ever saw a snake, I'm not sure. But down went the tree to the stump, and for some reason it never grew back. Well, nothing gold stays. Azadirachta indica or neem tree, also called margosa or Indian lilac, is a native tree to India. I love its scientific name. The genus name comes from Persian, which literally translates to free tree or noble tree. The Persian name likely comes from the tree's ability to deter pests or be able to protect it from outside harm, hence noble. Neem tree belongs to the mahogany family. There's another tree in this family that looks quite similar to neem. Many listeners from India might know it as bakayan. Bakayan or Persian lilac is easy to confuse with neem as they both look similar when viewed as a whole. But when one observes their different parts, it's easy to differentiate between the two. I will discuss these differences in the coming sections. The leaves of neem are pinnately compound, which means that the leaflets are attached to a stalk on both sides in opposite arrangement. The leaves have serrated edges and the tip is slightly pointy and bright to dark green in color. The tree gives a full summer vibe as its beautiful foliage sways in the warm summer breeze. It gives a cool shelter against the battering sun and is usually planted along roadsides, in the center of villages, and amid agricultural fields to give respite to weary wayfarers. It's popular as a shade tree in parks and avenues in urban places. Commercially, the leaves of neem are important because of the compound called azadirachtin extracted from them, as it is an effective insect repellent or pesticide and is added to various neem products. While the leaves are bitter to taste, they are still edible in small quantities and are turned into several kinds of dishes around India. There's an interesting household use of the leaves too. Many people air dry them and then keep them among winter clothes, between pages of a book, or inside green boxes to deter insects. And I can tell with experience that it works like a charm. While neem is an evergreen tree, it does shed some leaves from January to March. The leaves crisp up and are carried away with the wind. When the new leaves start coming up, they may have burgundy shade that turns green upon maturing. Now, if you wish to differentiate neem and bacan, the most obvious factor is the leaf structure. While neem leaves are pinnately compound, baccae leaves are twice or thrice pinnate. And after leaves follow the small white flowers of neem. They droop in clusters all over its branches. Summer is incomplete without honey sweet fragrance of neem flowers in the neighborhood. During flowering months, the tree becomes a hotspot for bees. The honey made exclusively of neem has a dark color, warm fragrance, and a slightly bitter aftertaste. Now, before we move forward, remember that neem has white flowers, while baccain has lilac flowers. The leaves and flowers are enough for you to differentiate between these two trees. Well, and sometime after the pollination, the fruits start growing. The fruits of neem are small, oval, and olive like. The fruits are green when unripe. The ripe yellow fruits fall to the ground and, when crushed under feet, release a distinct sweet, bitter, heady smell. The fruits of neem are called drupe. A drupe is also called a stone fruit, such as fruits of mango, cherry, dates, and the like. The soft flesh of fruit surrounds a hard stone inside which is a single seed. These fleshy fruits attract many animals and birds to the neem tree. Not only do they depend on it for food, but they also build their homes and nests in its cavities and branches. The seed of neem yield another commercially important product, the neem oil. The seeds are pressed to extract neem oil, which is used in a wide range of products such as toothpaste, face wash, soap, as organic insect repellent in gardens, and so on. The leftover material after the oil is pressed is called neem seed cake, which is used as fertilizer to improve soil quality and as fungicide. The bark of neem is dark reddish brown to blackish in color. It has a scaly texture and is deeply furrowed as if the outer bark is peeling. The wood of neem is heavy and strong. It's used as timber and to make furniture as it's termite resistant. The twigs of neem have been used for ages as miswak or twig toothbrushes and are great for oral hygiene, similar to the twigs of karanj and pilu tree. Neem is native to India and seems to have originated near Assam-Myanmar border. It's a tropical evergreen tree that prefers a hot and humid climate and tolerates drought very well. It prefers well-drained sandy and loamy soil to thrive in. But neem is not fussy, so it can grow around the subcontinent in a variety of climates and mostly do well in all kinds of Indian soil types. It is not commonly found in forests, but is easily found along roadsides and avenues. Neem is environmentally beneficial as it has deep roots that bind to the soil and prevent soil erosion. Its fallen leaves enrich the surrounding soil and it absorbs more carbon from the air and stores it. Besides, many mammals, insects, and birds depend on it by consuming its fruits and flowers and using it as shelter. Now that I have explained this tree to you in detail, let's see how you can identify it in the wild. Let's start with the shape of the tree. The tree has a straight trunk, and when full of leaves, it has a roundish crown. The tree mostly doesn't shed leaves, so this is a good way to start identification. The next thing to check is its leaves. The serrated edged leaves are structured as pinnately compound. The small white flowers or the oval green yellow fruits are useful to check out in flowering and fruiting months. Finally, if the leaves are not present, the deeply furrowed dark reddish or black bark is useful to check, and that's your neem tree. And that's all for today's episode. For this episode, I refer to several field guides, books, online info, and my own observations. You can find a list of resources in my blog, which I usually refer to for my scripts. You can find the link to my blog in the About tab. Subscribe to the podcast in the app of your choice and share this podcast for the sake of tree love. And also, your reviews are very welcome. Thank you all. Stay tuned.